Welcome to Seasoned. I'm Chef Plum.
And I'm Marisol Castro.
And Marisol, I've been very excited about this, and we're doing an egg show, and I have so many egg puns. I'm going to start right now. Are you ready? I'm going to start right away. We have an excellent show for you this week. It's our monthly call-in live episode where we get to take your calls. I'm in the studio here at Gateway Community College in New Haven, and Marisol is joining us via Zoom.
Yes, and sadly, I'm going to continue this egg pun extravaganza. Also joining via Zoom are our two egg spurts for the hour.
We're terrible. This is going to get old so quick, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Julie Christensen, affectionately known as Farmer Julie, is the co-owner of Flamig Farm in West Simsbury, where the home of the iconic eggs backwards sign is. Farmer Julie, welcome to Seasoned.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And Lisa Steele is a fifth-generation chicken keeper and author of the blog Fresh Eggs Daily. She's written 6 books on backyard chicken keeping, and her latest book is the Fresh Eggs Daily Cookbook. Lisa is the host of the American Public Television show Welcome to My Farm, and she joins us now from that farm in Maine. Lisa Steele, welcome to Seasoned.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Julie, I got to ask you, how tired of egg puns are you? Do you just all your friends constantly just say egg puns to you?
Well, I think they're excellent.
Oh, hey. There we go. Do you have questions about cooking eggs or where eggs come from? Whatever the question is, we're happy to take your calls about scrambling, about frying, hard boiling, soft boiling, poaching, or how to make that hollandaise so it doesn't break for your eggs Benedict. We're ready to talk to you all about it.
Or maybe, just maybe, you're curious about backyard chicken keeping, or you want to shout out the farm where you get your own fresh eggs. We would love to hear from you.
The number to call in to talk chicken and eggs with our guests is 203-776-9677 or 203-776-WNPR.
Yes. For those of you keeping track, I am joining via Zoom from my home, and my neighbor has chickens and a rooster. So I'm hoping that they do to me what they do to me at, ungodly hours in the morning. They do during this live broadcast, and we can hear them. But before we get to those, here's another pun. Before we get cracking, answering egg questions. Yes, we should do a ding every time we do an egg pun.
I wish I had a bell. That'd be incredible.
We need a bell. I do actually have a question for Julie that our local listeners might be curious about. So Julie, Flamig Farm is famous for its enormous backwards eggs sign on the barn. What is the deal?
Well, I think people know our farm more as the Big Backwards Eggs Farm. Nobody should say the name of it actually, but yes, it is called Flamig Farm. And the egg sign actually was put on the barn back in the late 70s. Farmer Nevin had a friend, Carl, who was an artist, and he said, "Your chicken coop is so boring. You need something on the end of that." And Nevin said, "All right, well, your idea, you do it." And Carl comes walking out of the shop with these 8-foot tall letters that said eggs, which went up on the barn, and immediately zoning said, you cannot advertise like that. So, I'm sure they all kicked back and thought about it and said, and they repainted the sign and hung it up backwards and declared it artwork. Wow. And that is how it has stayed ever since.
Thank you. Yeah. Mystery solved. Yeah, I love that story.
You found it there, detective. Nicely done. So people may not know that eggs are actually seasonal. Lisa, as a 5th-generation chicken keeper, can you explain how the hens know when it's time to lay eggs or not time to lay eggs?
Well, I can't really speak for the chickens, but yes, I think a lot of people who get into chicken keeping don't realize right off the bat that their chicken is not going to lay an egg every day, all year round, year after year. And I think they're kind of surprised when, after that first winter, when they do lay well, that following fall, they start losing all their feathers. They stop laying. I've had so many people contact me and say, my chickens are all dying. They're like a year and a half old and they've been super healthy, and now all their feathers are falling out and they're not laying eggs anymore. Wow. I have to explain to them that the shorter days triggers a reaction in them, tells them winter's coming. So they drop their feathers, grow in nice new feathers to keep them warm. And of course, while they're doing that, it takes a lot of energy. So they do stop laying eggs or slow down. And you can light your coop, and I don't know what Julie does because I know it's, more of a business for her. I don't light my coop, so my chickens basically don't lay through the winter, but you can light the coop to give them the extra light they need, to kind of fool them into laying. But, it makes sense, especially here in Maine or you in Connecticut. It's really cold in the winter, and eggs freeze if you don't get to them quick enough. So, I kind of am okay with the chickens not laying a couple months in the winter.
That was a very extensive answer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm trying to play my bell sound effect now, but it's not working. So there we go.
Yes.
I was looking for another egg pod. Hey, we've got Julie calling from West Hartford, and she's talking about hard-boiled eggs. Let's see, Julie, are you there? We'll come back to Julie here in just 1 second.
Julie, can you hear me?
Yeah, she's. We'll try her again here in 1 second. But eggs are a funny thing to me. I have family who I want to say they keep eggs or they coop eggs. Is there a is there a proper term for that? Is it keeping chickens? Is it cooping chickens? Is there like a real, I don't know, a word for it?
I mean, raising chickens, keeping chickens. I guess, people call themselves chicken tenders, which...
Hey, wait, where's my bell?
Yeah.
Kind of fun. I mean, I don't call myself a chicken farmer because we don't really live on a farm. Like, we have a barn and a tractor and stuff, but it's more of a hobby farm type thing. So I think chicken keeper for the average backyard person.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. I'll buy that for $1. So I want to start off with, barring catastrophes, pandemic, supply chain issues, most folks can get eggs at their grocery store, which is perfectly fine. I lived in that camp for a very long time until I met Lori Cochran. Shout out to Lori Cochran and the Westport Farmers Market. Lori has her own chickens. And about 5 years ago, she gave me these eggs. And I said, oh, where'd you get these? And she's like, from my chicken coop. And me, the city girl, I was like, what do you mean? And she laughed and she said, come back and talk to me once you've had them. I cracked those eggs open and I never looked back because they were beautiful. They just tasted differently. So can you help our listeners understand why it may or may not be worth seeking out fresh eggs that are from a local farm?
Is this like Jeopardy? Do we ring in with our correct answer?
It has to be what is.
Did you guys get your buzzers in the mail today? I want to make sure you get your buzzers first. Maybe we should ask that.
Well, I think Julie can actually handle that because she does sell eggs, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I just think it's great to give local farms the business because then you're not having these big tractor trailer trucks, bring eggs across the country. They're fresher. The chickens are happier because they're in much smaller flocks and they get to be outside and see the sunshine and, take their dust baths. And as far as I'm concerned, a happy chicken makes a happier egg.
Works for
me.
I
agree with all that. And I have to say that, people say, I go to the store and there's all these labels and what am I looking for? And cage free and this and that. And cage free is like the buzzword, feel good word, but it really is not any better for the chickens, honestly. Like Julie said, if you want eggs from happy chickens, you might pay a little more. You want to look for pasture raised. That means they're actually out in the field and they're doing all the chicken things that chickens like to do.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Well, if you have chicken questions or egg questions, give us a call. Our number is 203-776-9677 or 203-776-WNPR. I think we've got our phone lines worked out here. Let's go to Julie here in West Hartford. Julie, welcome to Seasoned.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course. You're talking hard-boiled eggs. Let's do it. I got so many tips.
Absolutely. So I think I've become pretty good at making hard-boiled eggs. I put a little bit of white vinegar in the pot and a little bit of salt. I'm not sure if they go together, but I had read about both of them. I do both of them. But it seems to only work well when I use store-bought eggs. And we do have a few chickens in the backyard. They make wonderful eggs, as you've been talking about. But when I try to hard-boil my fresh eggs, they don't peel.
All right, Lisa, any idea?
Yeah, and it's not probably the salt or the vinegar. It's that the store-bought eggs are old. Older eggs will peel better because air has had time to get in them, so it pushes the membrane away from the shell. So, people's advice often is, well, just save your eggs till they're old and then use those for hard-boiled eggs. But that kind of defeats the purpose. We all want to eat fresh eggs, right?
Yeah.
So actually, in my cookbook, I share my secret. I steam my eggs like in a colander or a double boiler or just something over simmering water, 12 minutes, and then put them in ice water. And some magic sciencey thing happens. And the peels, I mean, they'll peel perfectly. Even eggs that have been laid that morning,
Wow.
the peels just fall right off. So that's my secret.
That's a pretty good little tip
I
there, actually.
can't wait to try it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Hey, one of the tricks I like to do is take eggs that are boiled, and I'll put them in a stainless steel bowl or a small bowl, and with a tablespoon of water, and then cover the bowl with a plate and gently shake it, and the egg peel will come right off in the water. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, see, there's all kinds of egg science going on,
Oh,
I think,
man.
that we don't really understand.
Well, especially when we're experts. Oh, where's my bell?
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
sorry. I'm sorry. Thanks,
Oh my
Julie.
gosh. Thanks, Julie. Since we were talking about, you mentioned that maybe Julie's eggs were old, and that's the beauty of getting fresh eggs and happy chickens. What do the chickens at Flamig Farm eat? Do they have a favorite herb or flower or patch of something?
Well, chickens will basically eat just about anything. So it's kind of nice if you have fruits and veggies and things that you wouldn't necessarily eat because they might have gotten a little wilted or whatever. It's great to throw into the chickens. We actually have about 500 chickens here. So, feeding them all cut veggies and all that might be a little expensive. So we do order a non-GMO pelleted feed that is a nice layer pellet, and it has all the nutrients that they need. But it's great when we're doing summer camp and the kids waste a lot of the French fries and all those fun things, and they can get a little treat here and there. But yes, it's great if you could give them grass clippings and, or if they could get out on fresh grass is the best. We do have to look out here at Flamig Farm. We do have some predators here and there. So we really can't let our chickens free range too far, or we have bobcats and all kinds of things, that even hawks that will come swoop right in and steal the chickens.
Well, just sticking with the
circle of life.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell really if an egg is fresh by looking at it, but there are some good insider tips in the book, Lisa. Can you share a couple of those with us before we head to break here in a minute?
Yes, I think the most common that people probably know is the float test. So if you take an egg and put it in a glass of water and it sinks, it's fresh. If it floats, it's older. And if it's, kind of standing up on one end, it's aging. If it floats, it's not necessarily bad, but more time has gone by for bacteria and air and stuff to get into it. But you also can shake an egg and hold it up to your ear. And if you can hear sloshing around inside, that means the egg is a bit older because, again, air has had time to get in and some of the moisture in the egg has evaporated. So it leaves room and it gets kind of sloshy.
Do you know how bad I want to see Marisol at the store right now, standing in the egg section, shaking eggs
I know.
and listening to them?
I was just picturing myself doing the same thing. Like,
so funny.
What's going on in there?
Funny. Julie, what about you? Any tips to add to that, or?
Well, that's basically, yes, you do not want to eat an egg if it's floating on the top of the water.
No, I definitely wouldn't.
Yeah. And, when you have chickens that are free ranging, sometimes they will lay some eggs in some strange places that I just say, you know what, when in doubt, let's toss it to the pigs. There's always somebody who benefits around here at Flamig
Farm. Yeah, or the
Farm.
compost pile. I mean, egg shells are great for your garden. So if you do have to toss eggs, at least you know that they're going back into the soil, which is great.
Yep.
No doubt about it. Well, listeners, if you have a trick for telling if an egg is super fresh, share it with us. Or maybe you want to shout out the farmer who keeps her eggs in a cubby and you drop $6 in her honor box and grab a couple. We want to know where you're getting your fresh eggs from. Give us a call. Our number is 203-776-9677 or 203-776-WNPR. And Marisol, when we get back from break, I want to talk to our guests about refrigerating eggs or non-refrigerating eggs. I think it's a great question that we need to get some answers to.
Absolutely. We'll get to them right after the break.
Welcome back to Seasoned. I'm Chef Plum in our studio here in New Haven.
Now, Marisol Castro joining via Zoom, along with our guests for the hour. Farmer Julie Christensen of Flamig Farm and the author of Fresh Eggs Daily Cookbook, Lisa Steele.
And if you think you've got a particularly strong Saturday morning breakfast game, give us a shout and tell us what makes your eggs so good. 203-776-9677 or 203-776-WNPR. Before we jump back into the conversation, friends, I've got Joe from Simsbury on the line here, and he's got a quick little shout out. Hey, Joe, welcome to Seasoned.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course.
Thank you. So, just wanted to do a quick shout out to Julie at Flamig Farm. I'm a local of Simsbury, and we were just there last weekend. I took my 2-year-old son. Absolutely loves it there. So, thanks a lot, Julie, for everything that you do for our town.
Wow.
And then, and you actually touched on this, Julie, but I guess maybe I can get a little more insight. I have backyard chickens. I have about 12, which zoning in Simsbury only allows for 12. But for whatever reason, I can't keep 12. So sometimes I have 9. Sometimes, they get sick. They get, like you said, picked off by predators. And I'm just wondering, for other backyard chickens, what is the best way, besides running outside with pots and pans, do I keep my chickens safe from predators?
It's tough in Simsbury. You wouldn't think we had as many foxes and weasels, and mother raccoons are terrible. They'll just kill to teach their baby raccoons how to kill. That's happened to us with turkeys. And the best thing is probably if you had some sort of chicken coop that you could have an outdoor area as well, and maybe do an electric wire on the bottom and the top, and that helps with your predator problem. But basically, definitely, you've got to be sure you lock them up at night. That's the big game changer. My son Chatham comes up every single night and locks up every single bird on Flamig Farm 365 days a year.
Wow.
God bless him.
How about that? I think it's always fun when you do the show and you get fan calls for you, Julie. That was awesome.
Oh, that was so sweet. I'm glad you guys had fun when you came. It's a magical place.
Fantastic. Well, listen, it's funny because I want to talk about chef hats and how it relates to eggs, like the toques that chefs wear. But before we get to that, I think I want to bring up to you guys, and Marisol and I both have the same question here. Eggs in the refrigerator. They come from the store, they're refrigerated. You buy them from a farm, they're not. What's the story here, Lisa? Can you clear it up a little bit for us?
Yeah, I was actually just talking with someone else about this. The United States is one of the few countries in the world where, by law, to sell eggs commercially, they have to be washed. So all of your supermarket eggs have been washed. It removes the natural protective barrier on the egg that actually keeps it fresh, keeps bacteria out. Okay. So it kind of defeats the whole purpose, and then they have to be refrigerated. Other countries, you'll find eggs out at markets, out at room temperature. I personally don't wash our chickens' eggs. I leave them out on the counter. I'll refrigerate them if we have a lot and I'm not going to get to them right away, but they'll last for a good couple weeks at room temperature, unwashed. And it's just really a shame that in this country, they require you to wash off what is the egg's natural protection to stay fresh and, not full of bacteria.
Did you say last a couple of weeks? That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. 2-3 weeks at least, I'd say, on the counter, as long as they haven't been washed.
Wow, how about that? Julie, what about eggs from the farm? You guys, the same thing, right? Just leave them out?
Yeah, so we do a little bit of both. So we try not to wash anything that's not dirty, and we'll put those out on the table for sale. But then, of course, just like Lisa said, the ones going to the store, we do wash because they have to refrigerate. So we sell to 2 local stores right in Simsbury, and all of the eggs we send them are washed. So they are refrigerated.
Well,
you can do a hybrid. Like Julie said, we wash, if an egg is dirty, our duck eggs get super dirty, I will rinse those off and then refrigerate them. You can refrigerate unwashed eggs. They're going to last even longer than washed eggs. So you don't have to pick one or the other. It's almost like, each egg, you can kind of make your decision what you're going to do with it. Or like Julie said, she sells some, so those have to be washed. Farmers market eggs don't, if she's selling right at her farm, I guess. And egg laws differ state to state. So you do need to check with your own state as to what the rules are, if you're going to plan on selling your eggs.
Well, Marisol, I know you have questions, and if you were here with me, you would be staring at me like, shut up, Plum. But our phone number is 203-776-9677 or 203-776-WNPR. And I'm bringing that up because Marisol, we have a really fun phone call. We have Brenda calling, friends, but calling from Switzerland. Brenda, welcome to Seasoned.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We're so excited to have you on. You want to talk about refrigerating eggs? I know we just covered some of that, but in Switzerland, is it a norm to refrigerate them?
No, never. And that was kind of odd for me moving from Connecticut to Switzerland because I find it just on the shelf, and I pick them out, and I put them in my cabinet, not in my refrigerator, and it took a long time to get used to it. But can I tell you, they are the best eggs I've ever had.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about that?
Sometimes there's feathers on them, so I'd like to hear more. Like I get a little nervous because sometimes they're not so clean. Like I've seen the farmer come into my grocery store and put them on the shelf, and they're not super clean, but I just don't know, should I wash them? I know I don't refrigerate them, and I'm used to that now, but...
Well, I think it's a great question, Brenda. And hey, we're happy you can check us out here online and give you a little taste of home all the way back in Switzerland. So thanks for listening. We really appreciate that.
All the time. Love it. Love it. Love it. I can't wait to come home and check out all the places you guys are talking about.
Well, we definitely miss you. We can't wait to see you. Call us when you get here. And in the meantime, let's find out. What about these eggs? You guys washing them? Lisa, what do you think?
Yes, absolutely. But just before you use the egg, you always should wash it. I mean, I think whether it's store-bought, farmer's market, your own chicken's eggs, I just rinse them quickly under warm water, just kind of use my fingers. So yeah, they definitely should be rinsed off just before you use them.
All right. Well, that's I guess that's a good way to do it. Yeah. I mean, even like duck eggs too. I usually rinse those guys off, but eggs from the farm, I've never
the ducks play soccer in the mud sometimes with their eggs. so their eggs usually do get washed, and they lay them on the ground. They lay them wherever. So I usually do wash the duck eggs right away. I rinse them off, same in warm water, and then just put them in the fridge.
Okay. I'll buy that. I like hearing about how to treat our eggs before we actually cook them, but I would like to talk about the cooking part because I scramble a lot of eggs for everyone in my home. And I know everyone's got their opinions about how to scramble eggs or fry their eggs. So I'd like to do a quick round robin. Plum, what is your favorite way to fry or scramble an egg?
I love frying eggs. It's delicious. It's fun. I mean, I've even gone as far as to put a whole lot of, oil in a pan and then, whip my eggs up with a little bit of like a tablespoon of flour to like 6 eggs, and then you put them in a piping bag and you can pipe it out like noodles almost, which is pretty cool. You can do it in boiling water or in a fryer. But for me, scrambled eggs, I'm doing it the classic French way. I'm going to whip them up constantly in the pan. I'm going to turn the heat down so it's on the pan, off the heat, on the pan, off the heat, constantly going back and forth. So the eggs themselves almost stay rich and creamy the whole time. And then I cool them down at the end by adding a spoonful of sour cream or creme fraiche to it. So they never the color never really actually changes. And they have those soft, creamy curds to them, which I think is the proper way to make a scrambled egg.
Okay.
Now I'm terrified to answer.
No. You don't start with
wait till you hear mine that needs to be done in 2 minutes flat before, these children stage a protest. Who wants to go first? Julie, Lisa?
I'll go first. So I learned from my husband, Farmer Nevin, it's all about floating them on top of the butter in the pan. And that is just the secret. You don't want to break the seal of the butter, and you just float them, and then you turn it off right before the egg gets too well done. You want them a little runny and delish. It's all about butter. Everything's better with butter.
I know,
don't you
butter.
agree?
Butter is good. I know. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Julie's way. That sounds a lot easier. Tons of butter. I don't mess with my eggs a lot. I whisk them up really, really well before I put them in the pan. And then I don't really mess with them too much. I kind of like them more chunky instead of small curds. And I definitely take them off when they're still shiny and runny and all that. But the worst thing is overcooked eggs.
Yeah.
I agree too. I do have a question for the group, especially because we have a classically trained chef. Do you guys add water to your eggs? Milk?
No.
Or cream? Or none? Nothing?
No,
nothing.
Nothing.
You don't have to. My wife constantly puts milk when she's scrambling eggs, and I'm like, stop doing that. It's gonna burn on the pan and be terrible. Don't do that.
Well, that's what I say. So I do a little dollop of water. I don't know why.
Dollop
that's
of
just
water?
my thing. I do a little, I turn on the faucet and I just put the bowl under really quickly so that it catches a little bit of water.
Next time, try a spoonful of sour cream and just whisk that in there at the very end. It cools it down and adds such a nice butteriness to it, like the fat in the background. It's absolutely stunning. I think it's the best way to do it too. We're going to change gears just a second here. We got Aviva from Madison calling in. She's been on hold for way too long. I apologize for that, Aviva, but you want to talk about chicken coops?
Yeah, thanks. I'm so happy that you're doing this show because my family has been talking about getting chickens for a while. But when I look online for chicken coops, the reviews aren't so great. And then, I'll look at plans for chicken coops and I just feel so overwhelmed by the whole thing. Wow. I'm just wondering if there's any advice they might have for somebody just starting out.
We have two great guests who can definitely answer that question. Julie, why don't we start with you since you have tons of chickens?
Absolutely. So I guess my question is, how many chickens are you thinking of getting?
4 to 6 to start off, I would think.
Okay. Well, I think the best is if you could have some sort of coop that could be mobile. Maybe if you built it on a skidder, so you could drag it around, because the chickens are going to definitely need to be fenced in from predators. And if you could mobily move a little small coop all around your yard, that would be the best, because then they could get all the fresh grass and bugs and in all different areas, would be my advice. And again, if you're really worried about losing them to any of the wildlife, a little electrified fence line around the chicken coop is always a good idea. And that can run on solar or, electric on your house, but then you don't have to worry about something getting in and taking out your flock.
So I'm assuming that electrified thing you would only put on when your chickens are back in their coop, right?
Yes. So if you're going to have them free range, I would probably be outside with them. If you're worried about something coming and taking them, that's the saddest thing to me. We sell quite a bit of chickens here to people at the farm, to people coming to the farm. And, it's always sad when they've lost them to, a neighborhood dog or raccoons or, I've seen foxes come out in the broad daylight. So that would be my only concern is getting backyard chickens. You want to make sure you can protect them.
Yeah.
Well, good. I hope that helps a little bit. I feel like I really want to help you. Yeah. I feel bad. I really do. I hope that these chickens work well for you. I really do.
Well, they're such great pets, and they're so much fun to watch, and they just, I think they make a great addition to a yard.
Well, if you've got egg tips, chicken tips, coop tips, give us a call, 203-776-9677 or 203-776-WNPR. We're joined by Julie Christensen. She is the farmer and co-owner of Flamig Farm in West Simsbury. And Lisa Steele. She's the writer behind the Fresh Eggs Daily blog and the author of the Fresh Eggs Daily Cookbook. Friends, I have one tiny little tidbit that I can talk about as a chef. Do you guys know the chef hats that go on? You've seen those big, tall paper hats that chefs wear?
Yeah.
It's called a toque. Yeah. The toque is very, very interesting. It was traditionally used to show how many different ways a chef could cook an egg, which is kind of ridiculous. The pleats in the hat, the folds in the hat, usually, according to the reluctant gourmet, the pleats were used to signify the chef's level of experience, like the number of ways a chef could cook an egg. So I always thought that was pretty interesting, and I remember in culinary school wearing those hats, and we had to fold them constantly. So learning thousands and thousands of different ways of cooking egg, at least it felt like it was that many. I don't know. But Marisol, we should get you a hat, too, and see how many you can do.
I can do 0. I can do 1 egg. 1 egg many ways. That's it. That's all I got.
You could do more than that. One of my favorite ways, and Lisa, I wonder if you've done anything like this as well. I like to crack a bunch of eggs and I put them into my crock pot with a little bit of bubbly water and salt, and it makes the best frittata ever.
Oh, that's really interesting. I actually don't have a crock pot, but I would assume like a Dutch oven would kind of do something similar, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
I heard the inflection in everyone. We all went, "Oh, that's interesting." I don't know if you know this, but in Lisa Steele's book, The Fresh Eggs Daily Cookbook, if you don't have it, run, don't walk. She has a Swedish egg coffee recipe. Oh. What in the wide world of sports is this? I'm going to the page right now. Lisa, you have some explaining to do here.
Yeah, it's something that I ran across, doing a lot of research for the book, trying to include some things that people might not expect. I actually had made it. I'm Finnish. My grandparents were Finnish, and I don't ever remember my grandmother making this coffee, but it's sort of like a homemade French press by adding a whole crushed up egg, shell and all, to coffee that you're brewing, on the stove. It takes out all the bitterness and it makes the grounds fall to the bottom. It's actually kind of neat. It sounds super weird, but it actually makes a really smooth cup of coffee.
And does not require a lot of ingredients. I love this.
No.
Well, that's interesting. I can't wait to actually give that a try. I remember growing up watching pro wrestling, listening to Hulk Hogan when he talked about eating his vitamins, and he would always put whole eggs, or Rocky did it too, I think, in the blender and then just drink them, which, doesn't ever work out as well when you're 6 years old. Our number is 203-776-9677 or 203-776-WNPR. We're going to take a short break. I got Julie from West Hartford on hold and Dan from Wallingford. You guys stand by. We're going to get to you guys right when we get back from our break. Hang with us. We're having a great time talking eggs right here on Season. Stay right there. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Season. I'm Chef Plum.
I'm Marisol Castro. We are Zooming this hour with two experts in the poultry world. Farmer Julie Christensen of Flamig Farm in West Simsbury and blogger Lisa Steele. Lisa is a chicken keeper in Maine and the author of the Fresh Eggs Daily Cookbook. If you have a question for Julie or Lisa, we can squeeze you in if you call right now, 203-776-9677. That's 203-776-WNPR.
Now, before we get back to exploring this extravaganza in the wonderful world of eggs, I got to shout out New Haven Restaurant Week, everybody. Make sure you visit your favorite New Haven spot now through April 9th and show the cooks and the staff some love. More than 50 restaurants are participating, so there's something out there for every eater in the city. Shout out to Restaurant Week. Go support them. Go hang out with them. Go say hi to them. They'd love to see you. That's for sure.
I love a Restaurant Week. Love it, love it.
I just love a
Plum, don't we have some callers that have been patiently waiting?
We certainly do. We have Julie from West Hartford. She wants to talk about egg cracking. Julie, welcome to Season.
Hello, it's Tracy.
Oh, Tracy. Hi.
Sorry. Yes. And I'd like to say one small thing first. Marisol, I also put water in my scrambled eggs, and they're light and fluffy and wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Someone co-signs with me. Thank you,
wide
you're my
open to
new
trying.
best friend.
I love it. That's great. Okay.
Now, my question is, I recently learned that if you crack an egg on the side of a pan, it kind of helps any bacteria on the outside get inside. You're supposed to crack it on the counter. I cannot do that. I make a mess.
I've heard this too, by the way.
Yeah, and it gets a little, squish, and sometimes I can catch it okay, but sometimes I get egg on the counter and on the side of the pan.
Well,
what am I doing wrong?
Egg on the counter is better than egg on your face. Lisa, what do you think?
I mean, it's kind of like one of my pet peeves. I see it all the time, even on, cooking shows, like on the Food Network. They'll crack the egg on the side of the counter or the side of the pan or the side of the bowl. You risk getting eggshell into your batter or your pan or whatever you're making. And as Tracy mentioned, you risk pushing the bacteria that's on the outside of the shell into the egg. So always on a flat surface. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe if you tried cracking it on the bottom of the bowl and then, you know what I mean? Because then the egg would already be in the bowl. But crack it like on the flat bottom of the bowl instead of the edge of the bowl.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's an interesting way
Might
to
work.
Try that.
I agree with Lisa, too. I think cracking it, on a flat surface is definitely the way to go. If you crack it on something sharp or something pointy or, the edge of a pan or the edge of a counter, you do run the risk of getting eggshell in your eggs there. Well, give that a try, Tracy. We look forward to seeing how that works out for you.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. We've got Dan from Wallingford who has a coop recommendation, Marisol. How about that?
I love it. Let's hear it.
Hello, thanks. I was calling because you guys had a previous caller who sounded like she wanted to get into chicken keeping and sounded hesitant. I keep 4 chickens in my backyard right now, and me and my wife started doing it right before the pandemic happened. And there was an organization called Rent a Chicken where you can actually pay and rent and have some chickens there and just try it out to see if you like it.
What?
And then if you like it, you can keep the chickens.
Wow.
And they actually use some coops that I use now and absolutely love. And if you're somebody that's hesitant to build something and you're just not sure what to look at, but it's a company called Omelette. They're actually made out of, I think, recycled plastic or something like that. They're very easy to manage and clean, and they have an automatic door that'll open in the morning and night, and just make that stuff very nice and easy. So rent a chicken and check out Omelette Coops. And I also wanted to second what Chef Plum said about French-style eggs. I don't do it all the time, but French-style eggs, where you keep whisking and they're nice and creamy, I chop up green onions really finely.
Come on.
And use a lot of butter, and when you're done, sprinkle some more of those green onions on the top and some crystallized salt, and it's absolutely delicious.
Let's go, Dan. That's what I'm talking about. There we go. Thanks for your call, Dan. I appreciate that. Hey, Michayla, there you go. You got a co-sign today, and so did I. How about that?
Love it. Love it. Love it.
So listen, both our guests, I have a question that came through here on our instant messenger here from Chef Dan Monroe. He wants to know, are roosters needed or helpful? And if so, how are they recommended? Julie, maybe you can answer that to start.
Great question.
Well, so you don't need roosters to get eggs. A chicken is going to lay an egg every day regardless. It just wouldn't be fertilized without the rooster. We do have some chickens that we let roam around the farmyard just because it's fun for petting zoo people to see chickens and in their natural surroundings. And always the rooster is with the pack of hens. And it's just kind of cool to watch because he kind of shows them where, to peck at. And it's really cool to see the roosters and the hens living.
Not necessary.
Not necessary. No.
Oh, all right. Well, that's pretty cool. Lisa, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'm probably going to get a lot of hate mail from this, but I'm not a huge fan of roosters. I think when you have a smaller flock, it gets a little more dicey because, the roosters during mating season can get really tough on the hens. So, Julie's got plenty of hens, obviously, but if you've only got, 3 or 4 hens and a rooster, it can be kind of rough on them. Wow. And I think it's good to know, though, that you don't need a rooster. So maybe start your flock out with only hens. And then as you grow it, because obviously you start with 4 or 5 chickens, and before you know it, you have 300. And then add, a rooster or 2 along the way once you have a larger flock.
All right. That's great tips. Well, the show is, we got some time left here. So if you want to get in, give us a call, 203-776-9677. That's 203-776-WNPR if you prefer to do letters on your phone. We've got Michael from Windsor calling in and wants to talk about mobile coops. Michael, welcome to Seasoned. What do you got for us?
Hey, guys. I tuned in not too long ago, and
it's chicken day.
One of the first things I heard was about using a mobile coop, and it really piqued my interest. So I'm curious to ask the logistics of a mobile coop. What kind of structure is it built on, and how do you move it around?
Great question. Julia, what do you think? Can you help Michael out there a little bit?
Yeah, so I've seen some really cool mobile coops heading up to like the Millbrook, New York area. They were actually built on almost like a hay wagon frame. And then the coop was on top of that, with obviously like a structure that the hens could get up back inside. So you basically can just move that coop. If you had a field, you could put it in. But like I said, at night, you'd want to make sure either the coop had some sort of door that would shut the hens in. They'll want to go in as soon as it starts to get dark. So as long as you can close the door and then keep your hens, safe at night, and then open up the door in the morning. I know there's solar operated doors that you could use, but basically you can keep it mobile that way. Or if you had something that you could drag your coop around on, a type of skidder, that would work as well.
Yeah, my friends over at Farming 101, they had their chicken coop built on, he built it on a, like a little trailer that you would, maybe you might see driving around with, like the guys who maybe, do landscaping and stuff might have. And it was a small trailer.
Yeah.
They built a nice little thing on there with that solar door and put a little fence around it. Seemed pretty simple.
Yeah, that's a great idea, especially if you've got a lot of land.
Absolutely. Well, Michael, I hope that helps. Let us know if you get into the mobile coop world. Love to hear it.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
You got it. We've got Ann from Milford giving us a call, and this is an interesting thing she's bringing up. Hey, Ann, tell us what you're calling about, because I see here where they type what you're calling about, and you've got me peaked.
Well, a lot of recipes call for fresh egg, like what's the romaine salad with the anchovy?
Caesar salad?
Caesar salad?
Caesar.
Yeah.
Caesar salad. And we hear so often that we shouldn't eat raw egg, not even in like cookie batter. So what does one do? Is there a danger of using raw egg, maybe in eggnog or something? How do you deal with it?
Yeah, Lisa, you want to jump on that?
I think in the whole scheme of things in this world, raw eggs is probably at the bottom of what I worry about. There obviously is a risk. There can be salmonella, other bacteria in raw eggs, and you should cook them properly and completely if you're young or old or immune compromised. Personally, since we're eating eggs from our own chickens, and the fresher the egg, the less chance the bacteria has had to multiply. So you're actually safer eating fresher eggs if you're going to be using mayonnaise or Caesar salad dressing, like you said, or eggnog, tiramisu. I guess it's all up to your own personal level of risk. I think you can buy eggs in the supermarket that are like pasteurized or something that eliminates that risk, but I don't really know because I don't, like I said, I don't worry about it. I grew up as a kid licking, all kinds of cake batter, the spoon or the beaters, like all kids did back then, and we all survived. So, I'll take that risk.
Yeah, and I got to agree with that too. I wouldn't worry too much about it. I can't tell you the hundreds of
Even
times.
store-bought eggs that maybe don't have a pasteurization label. It's okay, pretty much.
There's always a risk, I think, but
Farm.
They're just so much older. I've gone to the store and you can actually tell how old that carton of eggs is by looking at the end. There's a code on them that tells you when the eggs are put in the carton, and they are regularly 4 to 6 weeks old. By the time you're buying them, and then if they sit in your fridge for another week or two, you're talking 2-month-old eggs, and that gives the bacteria a lot of time to multiply if it's in there. I think maybe 1 in 20,000 eggs has salmonella. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's a stat that I had read a while back. So your risk is generally low, but it's how much you're willing to assume.
Sure.
Wow. Hey, listen,
thank
and
you.
try to find some fresh eggs if you're going to use them in dressings or raw like that. That's what I would do for sure. Absolutely. Hey, we've got who we've got here? We've got scrambled egg tips with Garrett from West Hartford. Hey, Garrett, welcome to Seasoned. What you got for the show today?
Hi. Yeah, I like my eggs typically a little bit drier, but my wife likes them wetter on the oven a little bit less. And so my creative solution was to cook my eggs dry and put her eggs in just a little bit later, but into the same pan. So they're cooking for different lengths of time. And it gives us a texture that we're both happy with.
Is that scrambled eggs, or is that... Yeah. What?
That's scrambled eggs,
Okay.
yeah. So I'll scramble mine, and then I'll put hers in just a little bit later.
Okay, well, that makes sense. So I guess, I think the yours would probably be a little bit firmer, and hers are probably a little more fluffy, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and when they mix together, it is like it's harder in the middle and kind of softer and wetter on the outside, and we're both satisfied with that.
Oh, all right. Well, hey, that's a great tip right there. Give that a try. Thanks, Garrett. We appreciate that. We've got Charlie in Norwich. He has a cooking tip for us. Charlie, welcome to Seasoned.
Yeah, fried eggs. I was always looking for a different way to fry the eggs. So what I tried one day was the butter, as it was suggested, but I'll throw some honey in the frying pan, and then I'll put the 2 eggs on top of that. Oh, it's a slightly different texture. Of course, it's a little sweeter, and it's got a nice little flavor that goes with it. I'm not going to say it's browned, but it's similar to that, and I love it that way. It's really good.
Wow. Okay.
I'm going to try that.
All right.
Charlie, I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that tonight, actually. That's pretty cool. Honey in with the eggs.
Good.
Thank you very much for that. We appreciate that.
Hey, just saying, we sell honey at Flamig Farm, too.
There you go.
There you go. It's probably going to be the last call for the day because I just saw the clock and we're running down there. We've got Linda from Colchester with another coop recommendation. Hey, Linda, welcome to Seasoned.
Hey, thank you. Actually, just really quickly, I just heard about the eggs doing raw. Using farm fresh is better because, as we talked about earlier, being protected, and the store-bought ones, it's been washed, and so all that bacteria is in the egg. But the coop recommendation, we use, actually we have 12 chickens right now, and we got it's like a playhouse from Carefree Shed. So they have like small sheds you can pick up that are already built, and then we just cut a door area and then built an outside fenced-in area. So when they're cooped up there, let's say if we're not home, they can still get fresh air. They can just go right outside into their little penned-in area. Then at night, we just close up the coop, and like I said, it's already built. There's many shed places that you can pick one up.
Oh, perfect.
That's what I have. That's the setup I have. And I mean, we have bear, especially if you have larger predators like coyotes or bear or things like that. I feel very comfortable with a shed. And like the caller said, it's easy to find one of those shed places along the side of the road or something and just convert it a little bit. You know, maybe put some wire screen on the windows, cut a little door for the chickens, and you've got yourself a coop. A couple of roosting bars, nesting boxes, and you're all set.
I love this. You know, we've done singular subject call-in shows before. This may be one of our most popular, if not our most popular, because we got not an inquiry, but a statement. Mary Jane is a listener. She is a librarian, and she just wants to encourage people to get books about chickens at the library. Shout out to chickens and education.
Hey,
Love
there
it.
you go. How about that? And the chicken chick, who is a famous chicken keeper and advocate in Connecticut, always says that chickens are the only family pet that will give you food. That's kind of a cool way to think about that, huh? Not bad, not bad. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to join us today. We were joined by Julie Christensen. She's the co-owner of Flamig Farm in West Simsbury, and the home of the iconic backwards egg sign. And, of course, Lisa Steele, who is a fifth-generation chicken keeper and the author of the blog Fresh Eggs Daily. She's the host of the American public television show Welcome to My Farm. Her cookbook is the Fresh Eggs Daily Cookbook. You'll find 3 simple recipes from the book that are on our website: scrambled eggs, eggs Benedict, and a very pretty lemon meringue pie on ctpublic.org/recipes. Thank you, friends, for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
I had an excellent time.
It was an excellent extravaganza. Seasoned is produced
Love it.
by Robyn Doyon-Aitken, Catie Talarski, Emily Charash, and our interns are Sara, Gasparotto, and Michayla Savitt. I'm Chef Plum.
And I'm Marisol Castro. Thanks so much for listening to this Egg Stress special episode. We'll see you all next week.